Happy Monday! Welcome to Screen Junkies Universe. It's going to be a good week this week. Why? We have Hal Rudnick here. He's kicking it off with us with Joe, Starr, Dan, Murrell.
Hi.
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning.
How was everybody's weekend? And I'm talking to you, not them. How was your weekend? Did you enjoy your weekend? I hope it was lovely. We're going to talk about Olaf, who did not have such a frozen adventure this weekend. House of Cards will return, and the most rented Redbox movies. We're going to start you guessing about what those are, and we're going to have these gentlemen guess about that in a minute. But let's start with Frozen short from Coco. So this was the 22-minute short that was playing ahead of Coco. And if you guys remember, when Coco was released in Mexico, there was actually some resistance to the short, and it ended up being pulled from theaters because people just didn't want to watch a 22-minute film before the movie. Which, if you think about how young kids that are going to see Coco are, that's a good chunk of time when you add in trailers and things like that. So it was released here domestically. There's also been some resistance here to it. Originally, I was listening to NPR this morning, our own Rebecca Keegan, our own in the sense that she actually works for Vanity Fair, not us at all. But,
and we have seen an issue of Vanity Fair.
Not at all.
Someone else's.
Someone else's, 100%. I just like her, so I claim. I learned that from The Walking Dead. So the point is that it was originally, I guess, made to be
It was an ABC TV. It was going to be a half-hour ABC television special.
and which didn't air, so they put it in front of Coco.
Well, they decided to put it in front of Coco instead of airing it on television.
Correct, yes.
For some reason.
For some reason, and we'll get into I wonder why. But it has been pulled, and Coco's doing really well.
Yeah.
It has earned $279 million worldwide, $108 million domestically, so it's doing really, really well.
Yeah, took the weekend again.
Yeah. So
It jumped 150% in China. It was a 148% increase in China this week, and we'll do this on charting later. These are the kind of things that excite me, as you can tell. But it is blowing up overseas. We've talked about it before. The highest grossing film ever in Mexico by local currency, by the peso. But yeah, like this thing has got legs. We may be discussing what kind of legs it has later today.
Well, they're very, very successful legs.
Yeah, I'll just say, here's the thing. 21-minute short beforehand. If that thing's going to keep my screaming kids off my back for 20 minutes, good riddance, you know? Man, those little rapscallions, if that could shut them up and get them to stop wreaking havoc. I don't have any kids. I actually don't have any kids. But
it's just Millie looking very pleasant throughout the short.
Yes.
Yeah.
By the way, Hal, I told you this, I'm so happy to see you here today. I am a little sad not to see
No, I walked in the room and you were like, Hal, oh, the dog's not here. Hey.
Oh, no, Millie. They've actually, so Disney asked that they add more screenings of Coco now that they've pulled the short and there's a bit more time available. I'm trying to, yes.
Yeah, and I had heard, like, people were getting together little life hacks to avoid the Frozen short. People were putting out, like, oh, you can show up, like, say the screening's at 10:30. You could show up at 10:50, whatever, to avoid the Frozen short.
Get in that line for concessions, because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Would they still let you in, though? Because at a certain point, they won't let you into
I think so. I mean, I think most places, I think ArcLight and some of the premium chains might not let people in after X amount of time, but I think most theater chains will let people come and go. And besides, I think even members at the ArcLight, I think, would be sympathetic to like you can't go in. It's like, I'm avoiding Frozen. Okay, come on in.
Come on in.
Also, a lot of movie theaters still want the money.
Yeah.
Oddly
want that
enough.
money.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, though. A lot of people are saying that it was people's reaction. And we'll talk about the different sort of reactions people had to the Frozen adventure playing is why Disney pulled it. However, in their original press release in June of 2017, when they announced it, they said that Olaf's Frozen Adventure will be in theaters for a limited time beginning on November 22nd. So it's going to be pulled as of December 8th. But as far as Disney's concerned, it's like, well, that was always the plan.
Well, a limited, it didn't say for 2 weeks. It said a limited time, which could have been as long as Coco is in theaters.
That limited time being, this is the only time you get to see it until it goes in the vault.
Yes.
A limited time is kind of a great phrase in that way, because it's like, What does that mean?
I'm only around for a limited time. Everything is only around for a limited time.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's here forever except for Star Wars.
Dan, I will hand you the next Honest Trailer draft within a limited amount of time.
Yes. That could be tomorrow. That could be 5 years from now.
A fireable amount of time.
Exactly. An actionable amount of limited time. Who knows? That's a great little phrase. It's how they get. It's how they get.
Wiggle room.
It's how they get you. It's like this sale is only on for a limited time only, but they don't say how long. So.
Well, here's my question. We went to the screening of Coco, which again was a great movie, and I'm so glad that it's doing well. They didn't play the Frozen Adventure there. Oh. I haven't heard if it's good or not. Is it?
I've heard that it's fine.
All right.
I heard that it's cute.
I've heard it's like 5 or 6 songs.
Yeah.
And, on one hand, I get that a lot of people will be like, how dare you talk down to Olaf's Frozen Adventure without having seen it. But I also I feel like I know what Olaf's Frozen Adventure is. It's you take Frozen and you take every scene that Olaf's not running around shrieking in and you cut them. And I know what Olaf's Frozen Adventure is. I feel like I don't actually need to see it to really judge it. It's a very standard. We took the guy that's great in very small doses and we gave him his own thing, and it was a terrible idea.
Well, it's a journey through the holidays. Mm-hmm. But I don't know why it's a journey through the holidays.
That was very nice.
But I mean, I think
it's
when we look at it, I mean, this was done in, they announced this in June. Mm-hmm. This was originally going to be on television. Speculation on my part, but when you look at, I think in June they probably knew how Cars 3 was gonna do-ish. I mean, tracking and whatnot, I think was gonna probably give them an idea that this might not be the biggest box office explosion ever. And then I think when they look at Coco, I honestly do believe that there was some reticence on a lot. There was a lot of questions going in. People are like, is this going to have mainstream appeal? Mm-hmm. It's very much about Mexican culture. Is it going to translate? When I say mainstream, are white people going to go see Coco? Yeah. I think is the question they were asking. And I kind of always interpreted this as a way for Disney to kind of try hedging their bets and saying like, okay, if we put this Frozen thing in front of it, then
people will go.
That's extra incentive. But I think what they didn't plan on.
The basics will go see Frozen.
Yeah, the basics will go see Frozen and they'll stay for the beautiful film, which that's what they didn't plan on was that Coco would be great. Coco is great and people want to see that.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of backlash on the flippity flop because Latino people, there's some call saying, they can't just put out a film about that embraces our culture. They have to put this other thing in front of it. I mean, for me, just realistically, if I'm sitting there and it's 20 plus minutes of this thing, I'd be like, I'd start getting a little antsy.
Well, and I mean, that's what I think they didn't really just like, I mean, Disney's in the family movie business, really, the Disney brand. And it's like, that's what I don't understand. It's just nobody sat down and did the math and said like, Coco's an hour and 40 minutes long. The average movie theater has 20 minutes of preview. So now you're at 2 hours and it's like, let's stick a 20-minute thing in front of that. So now you're at 2 hours and 20 minutes. Like Disney's made enough kids movies to know
that's too long.
It's really hard to get kids to sit and watch anything for 2.5 hours.
Tell me about it.
With this guy with the Joe Starr over there. It's true. I don't know if you guys have if you have nieces or nephews or anything like that. I've been a nanny. And I'll tell you, like any kid under 8, after about 30, 40 minutes, they're starting to get a little antsy, So that's a lot. You're right, Dan. It's just a lot to ask from them, which I thought at the time. However, we should say this, that having an animated short in front of a Pixar movie is a tradition. It's where they kind of vet new talent. They test 4 to 5 techniques. Another odd thing about this is it's the first time I believe it's the first time there's been a Disney short ahead of it versus a Pixar short.
Well, and you could have cost yourself an Oscar too. I mean, because these Pixar shorts, Piper, I believe might have. I know it was nominated for the Oscar. I don't remember if it won or not, but I mean. That's a prime spot for an up and coming animator to put a short in front of a Pixar movie, particularly like a lot of people when I thought it was Cars 3, but this is going to be the premiere Pixar movie of the year, and I do feel bad for that's an opportunity lost for a team that could have made a short that really could break through because other than in front of Pixar movies, I don't know the last place I saw an animated short,
right?
You know, like theatrically. So I also feel bad that, you know, you could have potentially put a 5-minute short there from a team that could have gotten them a lot of prestige, certainly recognition. You know, Olaf, I don't know. It just seemed like it seems like a marketing move that was a massive backfire to me.
I think if there's any silver lining, a corporation went, will white people go to see The Thing, or do we have to trick them? And the lesson that they learned was, oh, they'll go see The Thing and really enjoy The Thing. So I think that's a nice silver lining.
I think that's a great point. It's a great movie, and people will go see good films. And coming at from the perspective of people who really wanted Coco to succeed, which I think they did. I think perhaps like Frozen does have such power. Kids love that movie. That maybe it wasn't cynical. Maybe it was really just like, we want to give Coco the best possible shot. It's an original story. Those are hard, whether you're live action or animated.
Yeah, I think that's a great possibility. But I mean, I think this is the year that so many of the will blank go see blank questions have, because that was
been answered.
Will men or comic book fans go see Wonder Woman? Will people that aren't Mexican American or Hispanic go see Coco? Like, I think all of these questions that people had, you know, Girls Trip that was a mainstream hit. Like, I like that this year a lot of those questions of hedging, like, well, this movie that's supposedly quote unquote aimed at these audiences translate to other audiences? The answer is yes.
Yes, if it's a good movie and they're great characters.
If it's a good movie and it's well done, then yes.
Which is great. I think you're right, Joe. That's the joyful lesson of this and of this year. And if you look also, I'm just plugging Vanity Fair today, but on their cover is their first awards issue, and it's got Jordan Peele and Greta Gerwig. And think about that. That's like the directorial Oscar race right now is Lady Bird and Get Out. That is awesome.
That is very cool.
Moving on, you know what else is awesome? Television. Often. Sometimes.
Sometimes not.
You know what? Generally, sometimes.
On occasion.
Segue.
So House of Cards, there had been some question about whether House of Cards would return or not without Kevin Spacey, and Netflix Chief Content Officer Ted Sarandos has an answer for us via the UBS Global Media and Communications Conference in New York, and isn't that a sexy thing?
That sounds like the most, I know it's not, but that sounds really evil. Like that sounds like a James Bond thing, like the UBS Global Media and Communications.
They're about to show off their new RoboCop prototype.
Exactly. Ed 209's going to walk in the door.
Yep.
RoboCop. Continue.
Oh, RoboCop,
I
nice.
saw it. Yeah. Oh, it's on. Oh, I thought you were just doing like embodying RoboCop.
Nice. I have a little
your
Ed
move,
209.
creep.
It's good.
Everybody do the RoboCop.
Murphy couldn't do it better himself.
That's the last line of the movie. Spoiler
Mine
alert.
is just this.
Oh yeah.
I was getting shot.
I really like that Joel Kinnaman version.
Oh, boo.
Oh, speaking of Joel Kinnaman, also in House of Cards, back to your point.
We need a guest segue.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank
Very
you.
well done.
Thank you.
So here's what Ted had to say. I'm going to call him Ted. I can actually give you some news in the room today because we have been in arrangement to produce the 6th season of House of Cards. It'll be an 8-episode season that'll start production in early 2018. And it will not involve Kevin Spacey. It will star Robin Wright. And we're really excited about bringing some closure to the show for the fans. So this will be the final season of the show. A lot of people had wondered whether Robin Wright would then take the lead. It looks like she is.
Good.
And Frank Underwood will now be played by Christopher Plummer.
Yep.
JK.
They will. This season will open with them leaving his funeral.
Yes.
And just being like, oh, that heart thing sure happened.
Do you think they just are going to kill him off?
Oh yeah.
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 I wonder, or they put him in jail maybe?
In jail?
Or something, like somewhere he can be gone.
He needs to be like gone,
yeah.
because that character is such that like even in jail he would do some kind of kingpin-esque manipulation. Honestly, even if he hadn't turned out to be a horrible dumpster fire garbage person, this is what this show needed. I was already so bored by house arrest in retirement and sweatpants. And Mr. Underwood.
Yeah, let me double down on that because the show became way less interesting for me because I watched the first 4 or 5 seasons, but then when the season came back after last year's U.S. presidential election, I'm like, oh, real life is weirder than the show.
Yeah.
You know what? I just have to watch the news to see all this, palace intrigue and nonsense that's happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, what I was reading. When I was reading on Deadline today, actually, they were saying that, like, I think what a lot of people don't, because when they announced that Kevin Spacey was fired, there was one thing that I said was just like, put Robin Wright in the show.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that Claire was the most interesting character on the show for a couple of years now. I just felt like everything had been done with Frank Underwood. He'd manipulated. It's like more manipulation and more. It's just like I thought that her character was actually growing, and I was more interested in like what was happening with her character. But I think what a lot of people don't take into account, because I got a lot of responses saying like, just let it go away. It's not going to be the same. Just end the show right now. Deadline was saying that there are 2,000 people whose livelihoods are tied to that show, and that were in the middle of a production cycle when this happened, and
which means they had turned down other jobs.
Right? Yeah, you're planning like, okay, I have planned for the next 4, 6, 8 months of my life to be working on this show, and so. I love the fact that they didn't just pull the plug that Netflix, and I'm assuming the creative team went back and found what I hope is a logical and interesting way to end the show, but also that, these 2,000 people aren't just
that's a great point
out of a job.
Yeah, because I mean, not just the paychecks, but if you're in if you're in a union, you need those paychecks to be eligible for health benefits, and so that's a great point.
Louis C.K. was developing an animated show that just ended, and I just have mutual friends and saw on just social media, Facebook, Twitter, there were a lot of great animators who in the middle of the holidays overnight found themselves unemployed. Just you're out of a job. This indefinite amount of time now that you're working, because animation takes a long time, this indefinite amount of time that you had a job, well, guess what, now you don't anymore.
A lot of collateral damage here.
That is the side that I think a lot of people don't see, and everything that's going on is like, there is the scope is so much wider. The focus is on the victims, and it should be, but the scope goes so much wider. When you talk about things being canceled, I mean, thousands, tens of thousands of people can be affected.
Those people deserve their work, and back on the creative side, an actress of the caliber of Robin Wright like really deserves that showcase. Like, that's not an actress who should really be playing second banana to anyone. I know for me watching that show, which season was it? They ended in the war room and she finally addressed the camera for the first time.
Season before last.
She said, "We are the danger." From that moment on, every time that it was not her addressing the camera and just another, they do think that they've stepped into my fly trap. This is the peach hooch, southern. I was just like, oh my God, just let Robin Wright talk to me. And that's what I've been waiting for. So
I wonder if there'll be an uptick. I'll confess, because I do think that the quality of the show had lessened over time, and I stopped watching it.
Well, it's like, where do you go after a while?
After a while, you've kind of played that thing out, and I do think that they overstretched it. The BBC series was far shorter.
Yeah, it was like, I think there's only 2 series. Series,
and if you're British. But so I wonder if there'll actually be an uptick, sort of like if people will tune in to find out what they creatively do. And I also hope that they find a great creative solution. Claire's a wonderful character.
I think.
And people need jobs, man.
Yeah, and I think brave, strong, creative choices. Obviously, this hand had to be forced, unfortunately, but. Really strong creative choices are what I think can really save a show. This reminded me of, right now there's this, after the documentary came out about Apu from The Simpsons, and his sort of growing up with that sort of character sort of looming over him. A lot of people have been calling for, well, hey, let's kill off Apu. Just get rid of him. Just kill off Apu. And he's saying, no, don't kill off Apu. He's part of the show's legacy. He's part of my life. Make some strong choices with the guy. Like, make him open a chain make him the Walmart of mini marts now. Make these big, strong choices, because then you can shake up your show and get new stories. And I mean, that would help a stale show like The Simpsons, which has gotten very stale. Make those big choices with those characters.
Well, we're happy to see 2,000 people continue to work, which is always the thing that I think about too. You're right, especially as these financial implications start to emerge, there's just a lot of people that are bystanders that can be impacted. So I'm excited to see this show. You know what else I'm excited to see? Redbox's top rented movie. So to celebrate its 15th anniversary, it has announced the 15 most rented movies in the company's history. It's a really weird mix. I'm gonna have it's
super
so
weird.
bizarre. I'm gonna have Dan and I have seen the list. So Hal and Joe, you guys guess the top 3.
Top 3.
Sure. I mean, they could be.
Keep in mind, this is to celebrate Redbox's 15th anniversary. So this goes back to 2002, potentially.
Okay.
Okay.
And we'll also award you points if you guess one that's just on the list.
What's the
Avatar.
Oh,
Okay.
Right. That is not on the list.
Just lost the title, but what's the Adam Sandler, Chris Rock, David Spade, Kevin James?
Grown Ups.
The first one? Yeah, Grown Ups. The first Grown Ups.
That is on
That
the
is
list.
on the
But
list.
not in the top
That is
3.
on the list.
Not in the top 3, but on the list.
Okay.
Batman v Superman.
Not on the list.
What the F? I'm 0 for 2.
I will give you a
list.
clue. There is only one comic book movie on this list. I should say superhero movie on this list.
Gotcha.
From since 2002? Mm-hmm. Man, I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna just swing out there and I'm gonna say it's Deadpool.
Not on the list. Not on the list.
Is it Days of Future Past?
Nope.
Nope.
Suicide Squad.
No.
No.
Wow.
All right. Shall we
What are you
read
renting,
the
grocery
list?
store shoppers?
Wow.
What
I
are you
feel like
renting?
this is so fascinating.
I haven't guessed one movie on the
This
freaking
says
list.
a lot about it's a weird list.
Well, I laughed when you guys said we were covering this because this morning I had to run to the grocery store and there was like 6 people in line at the Redbox.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, man, this thing's just still going.
At like 8 in the
Redbox.
morning?
50 Shades of Grey.
Not on the
Not on the
list.
list.
What?
Not on the list. You ready for the list?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 1 is The Hunger Games. Number 2 is 21 Jump Street. Number 3, Identity Thief.
Number 3.
4.
Wow.
Number 3.
number
Melissa
3.
McCarthy and Jason Bateman.
And that is
Wow.
ahead.
Identity
That is
Thief.
ahead.
I've seen it and I don't remember who was in it.
That is ahead of number 4, which is the only comic book movie, which is The Avengers. Number 5 is We're the Millers. Number 6 is The Heat. Number 7, Flight. Number 8, Grown Ups.
Okay.
Number 9, Just Go With It.
Another
10,
Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah, The Wolf of Wall Street. Flight is the one that befuddles me the most.
Flight is very strange.
Yeah.
Number 11, Captain Phillips. Number 12, Hunger Games, Catching Fire. Number 13, World War Z. Number 14, Divergent. And number 15, White House Down. This is
Whoa.
so
That is a weird
History.
collection of
It's like
movies.
YA Oscar movies, 2
strange.
Adam Sandler movies, comedies, but not necessarily the good ones, except for 21 Jump Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, Melissa
It is-
McCarthy coming in
So I'm gonna
strong,
make
coming
a
in hot
guess.
with 2 movies.
People are renting movies. Okay, people are going to see movies typically based on franchises and franchise attachment, but I think they are renting Redbox movies specifically based on actors. That is my guess.
Interesting.
I'll look at that
this
and
Adam
say
Sandler movie.
they're renting Redbox movies in order to turn their MFN brains off. There's no aside from Wolf of Wall Street
And Flight.
Oh, Captain
Flight,
Phillips.
Flight throws
Denzel.
me.
But
Flight
Denzel.
throws me.
Like
Denzel.
We're the
Interesting.
Millers, Identity Thief, the Heat, Grown Ups. Just
I think it's based on the actors. I really think they're looking at the box
They're like, we like this
and
Jason
they're looking.
Bateman.
Yeah.
But why just go with it? If you're going off Adam Sandler, why that one?
which one is that?
That's the one with
newish.
Jennifer. Is Jennifer Aniston in that one? I don't know. It's just weird. Like if you're going with the actors, like why just go with it? Why
Can
not
we
Jack
do-
and Jill?
Can we play
or
Adam Sandler Mad Libs one day? I think that would be fun. Is that the one with Jennifer Aniston? Maybe.
maybe.
Hey,
I don't
JT,
know.
can I get a lower third that says, Hal, perplexed about which Adam Sandler movie Just Go With It is?
Oh boy, I don't know what it's gonna look like coming out the other end. But
Yeah, this list is created by the last Netflix holdouts, of which my parents were for a long time. I don't know how y'all's parents does it, but my parents, my dad goes to the grocery store daily to just go get that day's groceries. And I think a lot of families, and so he'll grab a Redbox for the night, and the next day when he goes to get that day's turkey lunch meat for sandwiches, he takes that one back, and then he picks up Just Go With It, like that. Now they have Netflix, and he has discovered Breaking Bad finally. But
Are your parents retired?
Movies.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, just the daily grocery store trip, and I think that those are the folks keeping Redbox cranking.
Yeah, seemingly. Yeah. I'm sticking with my conclusion is that they're just looking at their box and they're like, I recognize that person.
Yes.
And I like that person. Mm-hmm. I'm going to get it.
Yep.
Well, you guys let us know what you think. What are your top rated movies? Like, I wonder how does this compare to, I think I should have done ahead of time, is how does this compare to the top?
Netflix?
Yeah.
Tomorrow. Let's look it up and we'll talk about it tomorrow.
Well, isn't
Top on VOD,
well,
iTunes.
Adam Sandler rules Netflix because Ridiculous Six was queued up to just start if you let your thing play out.
Netflix, more VOD. So more like what are people renting on Amazon and what are they renting on iTunes?
What's hot at Blockbuster right now?
What is hot at Blockbuster?
Well, we'll call them.
Yeah.
The one that's left.
Poor Blockbuster.
Poor Gary Blockbuster.
You were pouring one out for Blockbuster.
For some reason that you were dipping an Oscar.
Yeah.
I was like,
I thought you were putting a biscotti in your coffee or something.
What did you think it was?
I thought you were signing for help.
Okay. I feel like whatever your interpretation of my move was says a lot about the individual. Like dipping for an Oscar, because then I chew on it. Very well. It's been a very good day today. Thank you for joining us. Hal, where do the people find you next? You're on Screen Junkies. I want them to see your disaster artist.
Oh, yeah. I had a great sit down with James and Dave Franco, Seth Rogen, Paul Scheer, and Ari Grainer from The Disaster Artist. And they were awesome. They read dialogue from other bad movies that we somehow love. And that was super fun. And yeah, hit me up on Twitter at Hal Rudnick. There it is in the lower third. Thank you, JTE.
I was just going to say, I also, over the weekend, our own Lon Harris released a great video of Bruce Willis movies you've never seen. They are ridiculous movies. Lon watched them, so you don't have to, so make sure you check out that video. And I dove into the good, the bad, and the weird of Rankin Bass holiday specials.
Tease a little bit about what that means, because people might not know what Rankin Bass is.
It's they call it animagic. We just call it stop motion. The old Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, if you remember that. There are like 20 more of them, and they vary. Like mileage varies. Some of them are just batshit insane, and then some of them are great. And we sort of run the gauntlet.
Awesome. Thank you guys for being here today. Thank you, Dan Murrell.
My pleasure.
Be back later for charting.
Gotta go make some charts.
Gotta do the charting. So gotta head out right now. Thank you guys for joining us today. Please do always be nice to each other. Happy Monday.